Price going right in there. And turning it back. And a goal! And it's got to be, well, either Talbot.
He didn't wear the armband, didn't charm the press, didn't chase headlines or sell his name. But when the fixtures piled up when others broke down, Brian Talbot kept running. He played 70 matches in a single season, scored in a Wembley final, wore the England shirt, lifted Europe for Ipswich, and came heartbreak close for Arsenal. He was the tireless heart behind Bobby Robson's revolution, the iron will in Arsenal's midfield trench, the name called first when the fight got heavy and the name no one mentions now. No statue, no murals, no place in the spotlight he helped carry. The game moved on, and Talbot, he vanished with it. No farewell lap, no fanfare, just a lifetime left in the shadows, scouting talents no one knew he found, serving a game that forgot to thank him. Subscribe if you still believe the names they left behind were the ones who carried it all. Brian Ernest Talbot was born on 21st July 1953 in Ipswich, Suffolk, the same town he would one day carry into Europe. He joined Ipswich Town as a schoolboy in the late 1960s, signed professional terms in 1971, made his first team debut in 1972. No headlines, no roar, just a midfielder who ran harder than the rest and never asked why. In 1971 and again in 72, Talbot crossed the Atlantic. Toronto Metro's NASL. 10 games, 2 goals. Twice. Foreign soil, same iron lungs. He didn't go for fame, he went to work. He returned to Ipswich stronger, faster, sharper, and from that point, Robson never looked past him. By 1973, he was trusted in midfield. By 1975, he was indispensable. Over 117 league appearances, he scored 25 goals, 227 times in a blue shirt, covered every inch of Portman Road, and never once played for himself. He hadn't won a thing yet, but every trophy Ipswich dreamed of would need Talbot to make it real. He didn't wear flash boots, didn't wave to cameras, didn't demand headlines. He earned something rarer, the kind of trust that never needed a headline. And in that Ipswich team of quiet killers, Talbot became the one who did the work others couldn't see, but no one could replace. By the mid-70s, Ipswich Town weren't just improving, they were becoming feared, and Brian Talbot was in the thick of it. Bobby Robson built his side like a craftsman, no superstars, no shortcuts. He didn't glide across midfield, he surged, always moving, always recovering. Between 1975 and 1978, Talbot's role grew deeper with every season. He played more minutes, took more responsibility, and became the undisputed engine of the side. No rest, no ego, just repetition at an elite level. In 1976-77, he was voted into the PFA First Division Team of the Year. By the 1977-78 season, Robson's squad peaked and Talbot was vital in getting them there. He played in the semi-final of the FA Cup, battling through the tie that earned Ipswich their first trip to Wembley since 1939. Talbot clashed heads with John Weil in 1978 semi versus West Brom. He was bandaged and subbed, didn't reach the final. But then came the twist. Just months before the final, Arsenal came calling. Talbot had given Ipswich his prime over 7 years, 227 league matches, and countless unseen miles. And Robson, loyal to the end, let him go. Talbot left before the final, but he'd already done the lifting. Ipswich won 1-0 against Arsenal that day, and in the strange poetry of football, the man who helped carry Ipswich there was now wearing red. He arrived at Arsenal in January 1979 for a fee of £450,000, a quiet signing with no fanfare from a man who never sought it anyway. But the timing couldn't have been sharper. Arsenal were pushing for trophies, and Talbot had already done the work to reach one final. Now, just months after leaving Ipswich, he would walk out at Wembley in red. On the 12th of May, 1979, he lined up in the FA Cup final against Manchester United. In what became known as the 5-minute final, Arsenal were 2-0 up, threw it away at 2-2, and then won it all back in stoppage time. And Talbot? He scored Arsenal's first goal that day, a clean, driven finish past Gary Bailey after arriving late in the box like he always did. No flash, just timing, grit, and execution. That goal made him the first player in over a century to win back-to-back FA Cups with two different clubs. He had only just arrived, but already he'd made history. And that was only the beginning. In the 1979-80 season, Talbot did something no outfield player has ever repeated. He played 70 matches every single league game, every cup run, every European night. From August to May, he never stopped. He wasn't the captain, he wasn't the face of the club, but he was the one holding it together quietly, completely. And the fans knew it. They didn't chant his name, they just trusted he'd be there, and he always was. The 1979-80 season should have been the year he was remembered forever. He returned to Wembley, but Arsenal fell to West Ham in the 1980 final. That same year, they reached the Cup Winners' Cup final and lost to Valencia on penalties. Talbot didn't miss a single league match, didn't skip a single cup tie, played through every round of the FA Cup, the League Cup, and the Cup Winners' Cup in Europe. 70 matches. It was a number no outfield player had ever reached in a single English season, and no one's matched it since. But the reward? It never came. Arsenal reached two finals in the space of 4 days. First, the FA Cup final, a brutal, goalless draw against West Ham, lost in extra time to a single Trevor Brooking header. Then, the Cup Winners' Cup final in Brussels against Valencia. After 120 minutes, it came to penalties. Talbot stepped up, scored his kick, but Arsenal lost the shootout. 2 finals, 2 heartbreaks, 1 exhausted body, and no medals to show for it. When the team bus pulled out of Wembley that week, Talbot sat at the back, silent, completely spent. He had played more football than any man in the country and somehow ended the season with nothing. No awards, no Player of the Year. Just a number, 70. And even now, decades later, he remembers what it cost. I played all 70. I'm pretty sure that won't be beaten anytime soon. Brian Talbot, but no matter how heavy it got, he never asked out. Because that's what he was built for. For all the running, all the trophies chased, all the minutes carried, Brian Talbot still had to wait for England. While flashier names drew the headlines, Brooking, Wilkins, McDermott, Brian Robson. Talbot worked in silence. But the call finally came in 1977, under manager Ron Greenwood. He made his senior debut on 28 May 1977, coming on as a substitute against Northern Ireland. Over the next 3 years, Talbot won 6 senior caps for England, spread thinly between qualifiers, friendlies, and a handful of minutes among star-filled midfields. He also made 8 appearances for England B, scoring 3 goals, proof that he always delivered when given the shirt. But he never got a run, never made a major tournament, never became a first choice. He wasn't dropped, he was just quietly left out like so many players built for the hard jobs. No arguments, he went back to Arsenal and kept playing. Because that's what Talbot always did. He didn't need the cap count, he just needed the match day. And every time England looked for a steady hand, they still turned to him. He also made 1 appearance for England U21 in December 1976. Even if it was only for a moment, he made it count. By 1985, Talbot had given Arsenal 6 full seasons, 327 appearances. 254 of those were in the league, the rest were cup wars, fought without fanfare. 49 goals, just 90 minutes of war every week. He was 32, but he wasn't done. That summer, he joined Watford under Graham Taylor, a side known for its discipline, directness, and no-nonsense drive. It was the perfect fit. Talbot played 48 league games across 1 season, scoring 8 goals, still giving everything, still covering ground no one else wanted to. Then came Stoke City in 1986, another challenge, another shirt to honour. Over 2 seasons, he made 54 league appearances, scoring 5 more goals. But even that wasn't the end. In 1988, he took over as player-manager at West Bromwich Albion, wearing the armband and the clipboard at once. He led from the touchline, then stepped onto the pitch when needed. 74 more games, 5 more goals, fighting on both sides of the touchline. He later played briefly for Fulham and even Sudbury Town, just to keep the boots tied a little longer. Between 1984 and 1988, he served as chairman of the Professional Footballers Association. By the time he finally walked off for good, Talbot had played well over 600 senior matches, most of them in silence, most of them without praise, all of them for the game, not for himself. Because even when his body slowed, football wouldn't let him go. And he never asked it to. He never got a testimonial, never asked for a goodbye, just faded from view while the names he once outlasted stayed loud. But Brian Talbot didn't leave football. He just stopped asking it to look at him. In the years that followed, he managed Aldershot, Hibernians in Malta, and Oxford United, keeping clubs alive with the same mindset he once brought to midfield. Do the job. Don't talk about it. And when the dugout faded, he found a different kind of pitch. In 2011, Talbot joined the backroom staff at Fulham Football Club, quietly working as a European scout, studying matches, spotting patterns, and shaping signings that others took credit for. In 2013, Ipswich Town inducted him into their Hall of Fame. By 2017, he was promoted to Chief Scout and Assistant Director of Football Operations, overseeing recruitment across Europe. Still no headlines, still no cameras. Just the same work ethic, only now in a coat instead of a kit. And he's still there. Still watching. Still working at age 72 while most of his generation live in documentaries and statues. Talbot lives in the margins of match reports, on the edge of dugouts, in the notes of coaches who don't even know he made them possible. He doesn't remind them, he just does the job. Like he always did. He played over 600 games, and more than 800 in all competitions. Scored in a Wembley final, lifted a UEFA Cup, played 70 times in one season and never asked to be noticed. And still, no England caps celebration, no chance. But ask anyone who played with him. Ask Robson. Ask the old school fans who still remember the midfield heartbeat that never stopped. They'll tell you he was the glue, the weight carrier, the man who ran so others could rest. Brian Talbot. He just ran through every fire his clubs faced and kept going when the rest stepped back. Subscribe if you believe loyalty, silence, and work still deserve a legacy.